Hello everyone, a very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you. This is your host Vaibhav. In today's session of Daily Stock, we are going to look at one interesting quarterly earnings report which we got in the yesterday's session. The FedEx, a very well-known company, and if you are a frequent online shopper, you might have been getting deliveries of various items that you ordered delivered by FedEx. Is a big logistics firms, and we are its frequent users, knowingly or unknowingly. And the company has delivered quite good results. It has been able to top the estimates, and even after having its revenues rising not much, there is not much of an increase in the revenue, but with the help of cost cutting, with the help of its transformations done through its drive initiative, it has been able to permanently reduce the cost to the extent of almost 2 billion. I think to be precise, as per its quarterly earnings, it is somewhere around 1.8 billion US dollars. So all these factors have contributed to the betterment of its margin, and as a result of that, its EPS, the earning per share, is higher, and it is also forecasting higher EPS for the coming quarter, even though the expectations of revenue are almost flat. So the growth in the profit is coming from cost reduction, and that is delighting the investors as its operating margin is going to improve, and as and when the revenues will pick up, its profit will get even better. So these are some of the factors which are behind the jump which we are seeing in the FedEx share price in today's session. The shares are trading higher. There was gap up opening, and it has been able to sustain that momentum, even though of late there has been some correction from the day's high, but still the momentum is quite strong, and I feel in next few sessions, if it stabilizes and continues this momentum, we can indeed look for buying opportunities and expect the FedEx shares to continue to rally higher, and with that we will have the opportunity to profit as well. Now, if we go into the nitty gritty of its quarterly statement, we come to realize that its revenues are not much high, which I said in my introductory remarks as well. Let us take a closer look on its earnings and expenses. So, this is the quarterly statement for the 3 months ended August 31st. We have these revenues for this quarter of 2023, and if you look at these numbers, you can clearly see that the revenues are lower by 7 percentage point, but the interesting thing is that its net income is higher than what it was a year back. So even though there is a reduction in revenues, it has been able to deliver quite good results, and as a result of that, its EPS has gone up substantially, almost 27 percentage point up, and this is what is delighting the investors and pushing the share price higher. If we look at the share price, which we will go to shortly, we have seen quite stellar recovery in last couple of months, and that is likely to continue. The positive momentum is likely to continue in foreseeable future as well. So we will be indeed looking into opportunities later on after we are done with the fundamental side of the story. Let us look at the segmental revenues for the FedEx. is the breakup of various segments, and its express segment is bringing in lot lesser revenues compared to the last year. There is a growth in the revenues of FedEx Ground segment and FedEx Services segment, which is a tiny contributor to the total revenues. Otherwise, there is a mostly negative growth, that is reduction in the revenues in other segments. But then comes this reduction in the operating expenses, and that has contributed to the betterment of the earning per share. All right, so this is what it is, the higher EPS, which is the main factor behind the rise which we are observing in the share price of the FedEx in today's session. This is the consolidated balance sheet of the company. With its strong balance sheet, the company is going to be able to serve its customers better. This is a large employer. It has more than 500,000 employees. It is one of the large companies in terms of the headcount. And also on the revenue front, it brings in a lot of revenues. And even though its operating margin is thinner, the company's operations span around the globe. It operates in all the major markets around the world. Now let us look at the key highlights of the quarterly statements. And this is one initiative, the drive, which is contributing to the elimination of cost to deliver structural efficiencies in the words of company itself. It has also increased the midpoint EPS outlook range. It has been able to beat the expectations and deliver strong results in terms of earnings per share. Revenues are lower. This is a company commentary. Ground operations have delivered most profitable quarter ever. Now, if you look at the initiative of the company to reduce cost, it is applying the initiative across various segments, and as a result of that, it has been able to streamline its operations and reduce its operating expenses by $1.8 billion for this financial year. FedEx Ground, FedEx Express, FedEx Freight, all these are its segments in which the company operates. And if you want to have better understanding of the company's operations, I would suggest that you read these company's presentation, the earnings presentation, with keen eye on these details, and you will be able to gain insight into the company's operations and form an informed view of where the company is headed, and accordingly you can consider the fundamental side of the story and think about whether to invest or whether to sit on the sidelines after considering its technicals as well. Let us now head to the charting, the JForex 4. Here we have the chart of the FedEx, how it is performing after the release of quarterly earnings. Since the release, the company is trading higher. At one point in time, its share price was almost 6 to 7 percentage point higher from where it was prior to the release. Even now, it is almost 4 percentage point up from the prior closing levels. And if it is able to sustain the momentum for next couple of sessions, I think we do have a chance of seeing the FedEx again going past this immediate swing high and approach towards 275 and 280 levels in coming sessions. So for that, the key thing to watch out for in next couple of sessions is going to be the stability after this initial jump. If the share price stabilizes on these higher levels and if it doesn't really retrace back towards this prior closing level, we can feel more confident about taking the position in the FedEx. But for today's session, I think given the momentum is now in corrective phase, it is not really advisable to go for the new entry on these levels. I would say that watch out for the price momentum in next couple of sessions. If it stabilizes and holds the ground after this jump, we will be in a better position to profit from its expected rally higher. But if it goes on to fill this gap, this price difference between its prior close and after the release opening price, we will have to sit on the sidelines as that will entail the FedEx shares going sideways instead of showing a strong momentum higher. So for that, we have to give it more time. We have to see that things stabilize, and only after that we can make a fresh start and try to capitalize on these change of sentiments in the FedEx share price. If we look at it from the longer term perspective, the things are looking solid on the long term horizon as well. And even from the immediate perspective, immediate short term outlook, the things are quite good. So, this is how the share price has been doing for the better part of this year. It has rallied strongly from these 140 odd levels to now almost double at one point in time. And with this jump, it has tried to again go past this immediate swing high. And now the question is whether it is going to make a fresh high, and if it does, then I think we will have to allow the FedEx shares to stabilize and start looking for the entries to see that we can profit from these expected rally towards the levels of 300 and beyond. So if we see in the next couple of sessions that it is able to cross and make a fresh swing high above 270, that will be a major point for the technicals to signal resumption of the positive momentum, the bullish momentum, and we can try to capitalize on that in coming days. So that's my outlook, that's my perspective looking at the FedEx share price currently, which is consolidating with bullish bias. We have got these solid results. The earnings are better than expectations. So both the technicals as well as fundamentals are pointing north for the FedEx share price, and all we have to do is optimize our entry and exit points by looking at the minor technical points, by looking at the finer, not minor, technical points, and getting a decent risk reward ratio, getting the entry at such levels that even if we happen to be wrong in our anticipation, we shouldn't be losing too much money. So from that perspective, I think we will have to allow it a couple of days more, and given how it performs after these strong results, we will be in a better position to form our opinion and go for the new trades in the FedEx. So that's my outlook, looking at the fundamental as well as technical side of the FedEx. And if you have any comment, if you have any query, you can write to me in the feedback, and I will be more than happy to take the discussion forward. Thank you all for joining in. Have a fabulous time ahead. See you next time around. Till then, goodbye.